Hey everybody, Tina here with Two Chicks and a Cricket, and we're going to be making a Christmas card using Stampin' Up products. So we're going to be using a couple Stampin' Up ink pads and some Stampin' Up paper, and then this stamp set. So I'll be back and I'll show you guys what we're going to do. Everybody, my first step is I'm going to Cuttlebug these cards. I'm making 10 of these cards. So this is just a 4 4¼ by 5½. So I just took my 8½ by 11 cherry cobbler paper and I cut 5 of them in half, which gave me 10 cards. And then the next thing I'm doing is I have a Cuttlebug folder, and it's Swiss dots, and I'm just putting the whole card in the folder, and I'm going to run them all through my Cuttlebug. Okay, everybody, I have my cards, and I've ran them through my Cuttlebug, and you can see they're all nice and embossed with little dots. I used the Swiss dots folder to do these. So this is cherry cobbler Stampin' Up paper, and the Stampin' Up paper holds up really well to the embossing folders. Like to emboss it, it always turns out really nice. So that's my next step. Now I'm going to do some cutting of this paper right here. This is just a piece of basic black polka dot paper. It's in the designer series paper pack, the neutral pack. I just got that. It was my order for my Stampin' Up Club order this month. This month. And I got it, and I loved this black with the polka dots, and then it has the words on the back. So I'm using this polka dot, and I'm going to cut 2-inch strips, 2-inch by 5-inch, I believe, strips, and then I'm going to use some old olive as well. So that's what I'm going to do next, and then when I come back, I'll show you the stamping portion of our card. Okay, so now I have 8 of these stamped. I stamped the snowman on top in basic black, and then the little saying on the bottom says, "Hope your Christmas is snow much fun," and I stamped that in cherry cobbler. So that's my next step. So I'm going to color these, and I think I'm going to ink around the edges, and I'll show you guys that next. Alright, so I've done the next step, and I've added a couple things to these cards. I think they're going to be so cute. The first thing I did is I took these little mini jewels. They just come like this. I used this size right here, this middle size, and I just did his little buttons, the snowman buttons. And I didn't have enough to do all black going up, so I just did black and gray. So I did like every other one, black, gray, black, gray. And it turned out okay. It just, I had to figure out how to, I thought he only had 3 buttons going down, and it would have been perfect. I would have had exactly enough. But he had 4 buttons, so we just figured it out. And then I added a little pom-pom to, I just glued these, so I don't know if it's going to stay. I added a little pom-pom to the snowball in his hand. And so I'm going to let these dry. I'm going to let the glue dry for the little pom-pom. And I just used the, the quick dry adhesive. That's what I used to do it. So I'll let you know if that comes out okay. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to do his colors, and then I will show you how they turn out. I've been doing this card for 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. So the next thing I did, I don't know if you can tell really well, but I just took a Stampin' Up marker, and it's in Sahara Sand, and I did right around the edges. Calebug is here with me. She's playing with her My Little Pony stuff, and I'm doing a card. The baby, the 6-week-old, and Violet, the 2-year-old, they're both asleep at the same time, so we're ecstatic. So we're in the scrapbook room. So anyways, I just took the Sahara Sand Stampin' Up marker, and with the fine tip, I went around the edges of the snowman to give him a little bit of shadow, like around this part of him, and then around his little mouth part. And then I'm in the process of just coloring. I'm going to do red and green. And then yesterday I glued these, and I used the what's it called? Quick dry glue, and I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it works. It worked perfect. They're fine. They're fine. They look great. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll show you guys the finished product, and then I'm going to do his boots in black, and I'm going to add some paper glaze to it, and then I'm going to stickle his little body and add some snow on the bottom. So I'll show you guys how that turns out in a moment. Okay, I've done all the coloring. I did the boots in black, and then I took my white gel pen and I added the little lines on there. And then I did the hat and the scarf in red and green, and then I did his nose in orange. And it's kind of hard to tell with this camera, but I did his little cheek, and I just gave him a little pink cheek. I just thought it was cute. So now I'm going to add paper glaze to, or crystal effects, or, you know, just those clear glazes that you can get. They're called multiple things by different companies. So I'm going to add that to his boots. And then I'm also going to add stickles to the actual snowman part. So I'll show you that next. Okay, what I did before I stickled this is I added my next layer, which is just a green mat behind it. And this, the white, the very vanilla paper that I stamped the image on is 2 3/4 by 3.5. And how I got that measurement is I just stamped my snowman, and then I stamped my little saying on the bottom, and then I just measured, like, you know, you guys, I always tell you that I just eyeball things, but when mass producing like this, it's better to get a measurement because it's going to make life easier. So after I stamped those 2 items, then I just got a good measurement where it looked even on all sides, and it was an even measurement on my trimmer. And so it happened that it was 2 3/4 by 3.5. And so my green mat then is 3 1/4 by 4. And so I just did the green, and then I also inked with black around the edges of my green. And these cards, they're a little bit dark, as in the colors are a little bit darker than I had originally thought, but it's working. Like, you could do different colors if you wanted. You could do I just matched the snowman's scarf and hat to the colors that I'm using, because I'm using the cherry cobbler base and then the green in his hat, and so I did a green mat. So now I'm going to stickle these, and I'm going to let them all dry, and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to put together this card. So I'm gonna have a cherry cobbler base with Swiss dots embossed on it, and then I took some black polka dot designer paper, and it's gonna go down here like this. And then my snowman is going to go right here on top like that. So that's how the card is going to look in the end. And the other thing that I did is when I used, the adhesive I used for this is my ATG gun. And you guys know, if you have an ATG gun, that is very strong adhesive. Like, it's very, very aggressive. And so what I've done is I lined the white, the very vanilla here, I lined all around the edges with adhesive, and then I did a strip right down the middle. And that's what I'll do for the green, because when you're embossing something or you're using stickles or something that's going to be heavy, your paper will have a tendency to curl a little bit. And so you just want to make sure that you cover all the edges with your adhesive. So that's how this card is going to look. And as soon as it's all put together, I will show you guys the finished product. Okay, I'm going to try to show you guys something, and I'm going to do it one-handed. So I have stickled, and I've just used this stickles. It's just the Stardust. So you can just see it has like some really pretty glitters in it. And I've stickled the snowman, and then I've stickled down here so it looks like he's standing in snow. And I've given it some depth by bringing the stickles kind of up around his feet and towards the back. So it kind of gives it some depth, like he's actually standing in snow. And then I've kind of wrapped it around my saying down here. So the other thing that I'm going to do is I have this stuff, and it's called Pixie Sparkle. And I picked this up just at a random store. It was just like this little store that we went into, and I saw this and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so pretty. And so I grabbed some of it, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle over my stickles where I've stickled, just because sometimes, if you're familiar with stickles, sometimes you don't get a great perfect coverage with it. And because I'm stickling so like such a large surface, I'm kind of using this just to fill in, because it's going to stick to the glue portion of it. And so I'm just using it to like add a little bit more sparkle to it. So if you have dry glitter, that's a great way to use it. Sometimes we don't, Caleb, can you be quiet, please? Sometimes we don't want to use the powdered glitter because it's such a mess, which it is, so we prefer stickles. But if you're not getting a great coverage, you can take that dry glitter that you have and use it right over your stickles. So now I'm going to just pat this off, get the excess off, and then I'm going to do the paper glaze to my boots. And I've done one, and it's over here. I'm not sure, so you can see the paper glazes on there. When it dries, when the boots dry, they'll be glossy, and that's what the paper glaze will do. Okay, so that's the snowman portion of my card, and then next time when I come back, I'll show you guys the everything put together. Okay, everybody, here's the last step. I'm so glad to have these cards done. I've been working on them now for 4 days. So this is the next step. It's cuddle bugged, and then the black paper is glued down. And then the very next step I did is I just put together my snowman stamp that was matted onto the card. And originally my card was going to look like this. That was my original idea. But I don't think I'm going to do that because now with the little snowball on there, I just think it looks cuter. And on this one, I did it a little bit lower. Instead of putting this snowman matted stamp right in the middle of the card, I kind of set it down low. So I sort of like that. I stamped this one a little bit crooked. You can see it's a little bit on the crooked side, but I like the way they turned out. So I'm going to finish these up, and then this is going to be our Stampin' Up! Friday video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you later.